Our guest today has pioneered tech innovation to create the first on-demand boxing and HIIT workout in the home, with motion sensors to track every punch and rep. This innovative startup has a goal of becoming the Peloton of boxing. We talk about the future of the fitness industry, why more people want to work out at home, and how technology can enhance the workout experience. So for an insight into the connected workout space, please welcome Khalil Zahar, founder of FightCamp, to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Well, Khalil, thanks for joining us on the podcast and inviting me to this pretty cool studio you've got here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It was when we first started our podcast, you probably won't know, but we reached out to you guys because you had these sensors which are on the table. So what was the previous company called that you had?
It was called Hykso. You can actually see it on the sensors, but it's HYKSO.
Right.
Which is a name that is very hard to build a business on because everyone spells it wrong. But that was like the original company. It's actually the holding company of FightCamp.
Right, right. Yeah, so that's where we saw, I remember seeing this idea, I can't remember where I saw it on social media or somewhere, and I said to Kevin, oh, this is pretty cool, we should get those guys. And I think we kind of connected, and it was like, yeah, we're still working some things out. So to sort of come here today and see, we're in Fashion Island, which is a very high-end shopping mall in Newport Beach. So, in 2 years, you've really come on a lot.
Yeah, it has been like a hell of a ride. Like specifically the last 2 years were really where like a lot of things came together, The first 3 years were kind of like there was a lot of R&D, a lot of positioning, a lot of research. And, once like FightCamp came along and, FightCamp took off, we knew it was the one.
Yeah. So take me through that journey. How did you come up with these first, and then what was the transition from sensor into kind of this sort of full concept that you've got today?
Yeah. So we basically started really working on the tech piece. The idea was, I started boxing myself pretty late in my life when I was about 21, which is kind of like late to start a sport. Like if you actually want to be good at it. But I basically fell in love with the sport, and the first year of boxing, if you do it like regularly, like you'll progress very well. Like you'll notice your progress on a weekly basis, and you'll feel like I basically felt a little bit like Neo in the Matrix when he's like being uploaded this Kung Fu code or whatever. So I just wanted to keep going, and then at some point it starts to be more incremental. It's harder to kind of notice the progress. It's more, perfectioning it and, solving the kinks and, breaking the bad habits and whatever. And at that point, like I started to be a little bit frustrated because I didn't know exactly what was the problem, And like I was like, even on my conditioning, I don't know if I'm still, going upward or I'm just maintaining. And it was a weird thing because in most of the sports I've done in my life, like you can kind of tell, like I'm maintaining right now. But, boxing, there's so many hours involved and you really have to trust the process that I was like, there has to be at least a way that I could see if I'm like on the conditioning level, even progressing. And honestly, there was not a lot. Like there was no measurement whatsoever, like people would count the number of rounds they do. But depending on how intense you go within those rounds, like that's going to be completely, influencing how many rounds you can go for. Same thing with like, you had running, but then running was not specifically boxing conditioning. It was related to it, but it's really just more cardiovascular and endurance. So I was like, there has to be a way. And I was just fortunate enough that, my coach was an international referee. For IBA, which is the International Organization for Boxing. She knew a lot of people from the Olympic team in Canada, and we started talking and what type of devices are out there, what type of objective measurement we can take on fighters. And at the same time I was doing a master research in MEMS, in micro electromechanical sensors. So I knew this, the sensors were just getting small enough to be put on the body without being too intrusive. So we just, started talking and we're like, yeah, I think we should build this. That's how it started.
Right. Yeah. So the original idea was just to create a sensor that would measure your punches and your performance, is that?
Right, so the idea was, we have to come up with this metric called output. And, output would be dependent on the number of punches you're throwing, but also on the speed of them, right? And by combining these two things together, you could get a rough idea of where you were in terms of output. Now, if you do that for your whole workout, you could actually start seeing very interesting things on an athlete. You can actually see the mesocycles, right? Where someone is actually peaking, right? From one training session to the other, you get to see their output increasing. And then you would see them getting in a recovery mode where they wouldn't be able to hit the same output. And you would see them peaking again. So it was an interesting application from a training standpoint, specifically for our high-level athletes, because they could time their peak specifically for the fight.
Oh, wow.
And a big problem with these pro athletes in the fighting game is they're overtrained.
Right.
Like, nobody's undertrained. Like, if anything, they're overtrained. So you could see that, for example, they're not peaking throughout the training camp higher than the first peak they hit, which was indicative of a problem, right? So there was like a lot of cool applications like that.
And was that also in like when they're actually in a fight as well, so round to round, so you could sort of see the gap in between them sort of connecting and then resting as well?
And that was another one.
Right,
that was like, you could actually study only the sparring data and see how, because like not only we know the speed of the punches and we know when you're punching, but we also know the type of punch you're throwing.
Really?
So you could see the tactical behavior changing as the athlete gets tired, for example, and they're throwing less of these punches and they're throwing more of those, and you can tell basically so many things about the way they fight. Yeah.
Wow. And how accurate is those sensors now? Because it sounds like, for me, not being a tech person, to be able to work out whether you're doing a jab or a hook or whatever sounds, quite amazing that a sensor can actually pick that up. But is that done through an algorithm or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. So we probably have done, I would say, about 10 different versions of the algorithms over time. And long story short, you would build a data set that you would compare to a true data set that the answers on, and then you would retrain your algorithms and compare it to the real answers, right? So you would be like, hey, this is the right information. Now you give him a blind data set, and then you're like trying to figure out the what is a hook, what is a straight, what is an uppercut, and then you would tag the real answers by camera. Mm-hmm. So, you would build all these, answers basically, and then you would compare to see if your data set is more accurate. And you can get to like a very good, accuracy level. We got at some point to like 92% accuracy, which, like we were exceeding like literally the human eye. And like people weren't even agreeing on certain punches. Like people would be like, nah, that's actually more like a hook. And other people were like, I don't know, man, he hit it really like a straight on that one. And you reach a point where like the tech is not the problem. The definition is,
Yeah. So when you originally created it then, what was at that point was your goal? Was it just to sort of, in the sports performance side, was that what you was looking at creating, to be able to help fighters like yourself?
That's kind of like how we started. We started like thinking, okay, if we can push the envelope by literally just like 5% on the, basically on the cutting edge of the sport, we're going to open a whole area of possibilities. Because like people are basically competing to just push that envelope by like 0.1%. And then you always have like this one athlete at some point who just pushes it 5%. And then it opens the whole, a whole new ways of doing things. So we were like, look, if we can just get this few percent improvement on these whole training camps, that's already going to be like a phenomenal result. And as we're going through this, we realized that a lot of the initial users that we were sending these devices to were using it with their fitness people. So that was like probably the first time that we stopped looking upward into the limits of the sport and being like, what can we do with the rest, you know?
Because I guess that, thinking about it, if you're looking at this product and it sounds, certainly in the high-level sports, you've got, not just boxing, but you've got all the, the MMA side now,
right,
which is huge. You as a business person, you think, well, actually, this is this is a good direction. Was that a tough decision to say, well, we're going to not even worry about that, and we're going to kind of look at this market because it's a bigger opportunity? And what was the driver for that? Was it like that we can make money out of it, or what was that process like?
Well, we actually we planted the flag in the professional athletes community. So this was like, it wasn't even like, it was more like we've been there.
Right.
So like by the time we decided to launch FightCamp, like we sold already 10,000 units to like 41 countries, and these were like, some of the best training camps like in the world. Like we still to this day, we have like some of the best fighters who are using our products. At that point, it's like, what's next? Either you're trying to double down on the features and try to even push the boundaries higher, or, for us, it was pretty like natural to look more at what can we do now with the rest of the pyramid? Because like, it's a pretty weird pyramid too, with like boxing and MMA, because most of the people doing it don't actually fight. That's like the one sport that a lot of people go to the gym of that sport, but never actually do the sport.
Right.
Like nobody goes to the football field to just get in shape. Like you're going and you play, or same thing with the soccer field, right? But most people that go to the boxing gym don't actually box, in the ring.
Yeah.
Like they do, portions of the training, but most of the people that go there just do it for fitness purposes.
Right.
So like we wanted to look at the rest of the ecosystem and be like, how do we bridge all these people?
Yeah. And at the time when you had the sensors, did you have this app as well that went with it? Was that part of the original concept?
So originally it was more like a data tracking app, right? So basically you would have all the information you want about your performance, but you didn't have anybody to tell you what to do. You didn't have suggested workouts. You didn't even have, a social ecosystem around the data either. It was really like tailored for the pros, tailored for serious athletes who wanted to compare their data over time, right? With FightCamp, it's a whole different experience where like you're actually following a workout. You get rewarded on your punches on that specific workout. Then you compare your results with other members that have taken that workout. And then, obviously you can, monitor your progress over time too. But it's really like, it feels borderline video game-ish, where like you're going through the workout and you're trying to like, hit the objective. At the same time, you're looking at the leaderboard. You're trying to, like go beyond this person that is kind of like at your tail, So it really feels different. Like it's not a typical DVD press play Tybo, it's very different.
It sounds like you're a lot more engaged with, like you say, you've got the community aspect, but you're also engaged in the actual workout itself.
Yeah, absolutely, in the live version of it, yeah.
How do you think Peloton shaped kind of some of the decisions that you made to create this? Because I guess they came a little bit before you, is that correct?
Yeah. So I think it definitely shaped the way for a lot of, people in the fitness industry, specifically because it showed the power of what home fitness can actually do. It's insane how that industry changed. Like home fitness 15 years ago used to be like infomercials at 2 a.m. about the Abtronic and, or the magic pill that will make you lose 10 pounds in 10 days. And they would have like the black and white version of it, and then the colorful, happy person who clearly has been working out with other things than that device. So moving in this industry, we discovered a few young companies that were a lot more authentic, really like not promising the world, but really being authentic about the lifestyle that you should have. And the customers of home fitness have changed quite a bit too.
Right.
Like it used to be people that maybe were not as comfortable with their body, didn't feel good going at the gym, and was looking for a solution basically to a bad habit. Now it's more like people that, are fit or even used to be fit and now have, a very busy lifestyle and are looking to, make an extension of their workout as part of their home, really having an exercise room.
Right.
Yeah,
we were talking about that earlier. So do you then see the trends changing from probably where people go, used to go to a gym to get fitness. Are you seeing that, that there being a shift in that?
Definitely so. Like, I think the biggest thing is that, fitness has transcended the age groups. Like, fitness is not a young and single thing anymore. It's basically like, you have like, you can walk down the peninsula in Newport Beach, you'll see people that are 65 with a six-pack, and it's pretty common. Like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, this was like insane, this is like, wow. But now it's basically transcended all the age groups. However, the way people live their lives, that has not transcended the age groups yet. So, you're a young, busy professional, hitting the gym enough, which, is like minimum 3 or 4 times a week, it's a nightmare for some of these people, especially if you have kids. Then that's like even adds to the mix. So there's so much friction into having, incorporating fitness in your lifestyle that there's a demand for innovative solutions to stay engaging, like not just having, just a workout that is good enough so I can feel I just have done a workout. Like, give me something that I can continuously, use as part of my lifestyle, even though my schedule is crazy and I don't have the time to, commute to the gym, come back, shower, and take care of the kids in the meantime, or like find a babysitter for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's what really created the demand for innovative solutions like this. Is there's more people who want to work out that have less time, but still have high expectation of the workout themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there, like, I don't know too much about this space, but obviously Peloton's the main name that you hear of, and I guess there's another one called Mirror, which is around. Is this, and yourselves obviously, are you really at the front of that, and there's going to be a lot more people entering this space? Like I heard recently that Equinox are now, coming up with some sort of Peloton type of product, and what's your thoughts on that sort of home fitness technology as a sector?
I think definitely there's going to be more people because, already I think Peloton has 2 or 3 competitors that are basically doing exactly what Peloton does. So indoor cycling with a power meter. So there's Flywheel, I believe, and there's Echelon, which is like, like Echelon, Peloton. Like they really went after it. And like, these concepts are, from what I hear, still successful. So when you have like such a big market demand, I think it's going to attract a lot of people in it. That being said, a lot of people are going at it with different visions. We believe that, we want to have a full body workout that is not on a cardio machine. That's like our niche. Like we don't want to, have necessarily a treadmill or a rowing machine or a bike. We want to do what we do in the gyms. So we want to have a full body workout. We want to do it that is really like, centered around martial arts, because we want, we think that when you learn a skill as part of your workout, that is something that's going to keep you back for 10 years, right? Like even though you get out of shape for 6 months, you get injured, that skill is not going away. And that's probably one of the most empowering skill you can have, which is like knowing how to defend yourself. And like that confidence stays with you regardless of, your conditioning level. So we really believe in that mantra. Like we've seen people going to the boxing gym for fitness only, and they've been going for 15 years. Like in our industry, we say the karate belt system is the best retention tool ever created.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they keep you going, like the yellow and then the one dan and another, and you keep, like you're good for like 15 years until you reach the top. So, and there's no top really. No. So we really like to give this traditional boxing gym experience and scale it to the world. So that's what we believe in. We don't want to specifically go after just many different types of workout. We want it to be boxing and martial arts centric, and we want it to be full body, and we want it to be interactive. And that's hence the tech. Right. So it's not just going to be slamming a power meter on a rowing machine or a bike and then making creating a leaderboard out of that. Like there needs to be a little bit more, like we want to expand the algorithms for kicks, for body weight motions. We want to quantify squats and push-ups and other things. So we stay full body in the most effective workout.
Yeah. It's interesting, I was reading, how people like Peloton actually describe themselves, because they don't describe themselves as a fitness company, I think. I don't know whether, I think media was one of the names. So why do you think, are you of that vein as well? Are you a media company, or are you a fitness company, or both? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if we can even label it, because like it has all of these things, and Peloton is obviously going public, so they're trying to probably trace a parallel between the highest multiple of revenues with the category that they want to be in. But like if you look at it from a technical aspect, if you go on the FightCamp app, you will have videos. Then you will press play, and then you'll take a piece of hardware and you'll put it on your wrist, and it's gonna Bluetooth connect to your phone. And then this whole thing, you're navigating through software, and finally you're putting on your gloves and you're hitting a bag. So there's basically a whole accessories and logistics aspect to the business too. So it is all of these layers. It's media, software, hardware, and accessories. And basically you could build almost a company in each of these if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And the type of content we have is not only workouts. Now it's literally like entertainment type pieces that are related to the boxing lifestyle. And
for example, what do you mean by that then?
So the first thing that, basically the biggest finding that we had going through building FightCamp is people have this very big fascination with boxing, right? Has a lot of roots into history, with Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, and all these areas are, specifically, there's even a political aspect to it if you wanted to, right? It is a very inspiring sport from a storytelling standpoint. Like, you're fighting so much against adversity. It's basically the story of any boxing movie in the world, from Creed to Rocky, you name it, to Hurricane. So long story short, we started developing these pieces that people are learning about the boxing culture, right? So we mapped a little bit the journey of what we were having in a traditional gym. You would go in the gym, you'd rap, right? You'd wrap your hands before the class starts. And then usually you'd like catch a conversation with like a few fighters, the figures of the gym, the people you kind of like respect, and you try to hear what they say. They talk about like ex-fighter, and then they talk about maybe another person's fight, or they debate about, who was the best boxer in these and these eras. And then you'd go to the class, and then you'd unwrap, and then you'd have your coach telling you about X and X stories or whatever. And these little pieces at the beginning and at the end of like these 5-10 minutes conversation, like you felt like you were learning and being part of that culture. So we want to create these little short form videos that you would consume outside of the workout, and that are specifically related to the workout you're doing and the skills you're learning. So when we released the first series, like it was huge demand for it. So we are basically doubling down on it. We're creating more of these like fighter stories, things that can be historical, others that are just happening right now with current fighters, and we're expanding that network. So basically you navigate to the FightCamp app, and you're like maybe about to start a workout. You listen to a 5-minute video on Luis Feliciano, who's basically about to have the biggest fight of his career. And it gets you pumped, and then you're doing your workout. And then you're going maybe after a spiritual piece from one of our trainer, Aaron, who's really like, mindfulness and, really spiritual type person. So it almost becomes like an ecosystem of content where you can lose yourself in it.
Right. So you've got this content which is like inspirational,
right?
That I guess links into inspiring you to keep up and to give everything in the workout itself. Is that
correct?
Is that right?
Yeah. We're building from this concentrically from the workouts themselves to entertainment pieces to educational pieces that will teach you literally like the best tutorial on boxing you will ever find. We have that. And then we have certain sprints that are basically 5-minute competitions among all the different FightCamp members. and you can take them over and over again and measure your progress on them. So,
how do you find the engagement? Because obviously, you know, in a gym environment, and I've done, like one of your trainers has got a place not far from here, the Box House with Andre. I've done his class, and so you've got other people, and you've got the trainer, and you've got that sort of energy. How do you think that compares where you're on your own in your living room potentially?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, like there's nothing that will replace a face-to-face, you know, interaction with someone who's literally like reacting to your body language and having that presence in front of you. But we think tech can do a lot. And we think like having literally like a whole, like the leaderboard experience, it is actually quite transforming. If you have the chance of starting a class and everyone starts at 0, and within the first minute, you're positioned on like a list of 200 people, and your number, let's say 67, and you see that this one person, you guys are playing catch up with each other, like it starts to become the focus of your whole workout, right? And like, you know, we're ego driven at the end of the day. Like that's the reason why like social pressure in the gym is so effective. Like, you know, you just want to like, you know, appear on your best self. Like you actually want to perform. We're competitive people. So replicating some of these social interactions through the tech, it's interesting to see how an avatar with your name, and I'm saying an avatar, basically a picture of you, right? With your name right next to it, can do to like, you know, to your motivation. Like you just want this, you know, this represents you, and you want this to, you know, be, you know, like well positioned within this ecosystem.
Yeah. So are there other classes that you put, are they all live? So you have to go in at, you know, like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. to book it, or is there non-live ones as well?
It's pre-recorded.
Okay.
But when you take the class, so basically it's like we record everyone's run.
Right.
So as you're starting the class, everyone who has completed the run before, you'll start at 0, the same thing, right? Wow. So you can like retake the same workout and improve your run.
Right. And
like if you want to hit like a higher score, then you know that's source of motivation as well.
So with the competition part that you just described, so if it was a class that happened yesterday, and I join it today and I start on 0, and I'm competing with a guy who's ahead of me, are you sort of pulling his workout and then I'm competing with what he did? Okay, that's very clever.
Almost like Mario Kart, right? Like when you're doing the ghost run of your previous run.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very clever. So was that a big investment to create that technology? And it sounds expensive.
It is like, it is quite a bit of development for sure. Because, you know, you have to record every person's data point in time and being able to replicate that in time, right? So, you know, it's definitely some engineering, but there's few features we're working on that is like, you know, double the time. But we think are going to make the experience even quite, you know, more interesting.
Right. So how do you, I know you're a relatively small team and a very new company. How did you sort of fund that? Because we do basic development in our company, and everything's like a massive bill, even if you want to make a little change. Right. It sounds like you're in a business that is quite sort of cash intensive. Did you have to raise money to do that, or?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, just going through manufacturing with the first, 3,000 units, we definitely needed outside investment. So we raised to date about 5 million.
Right.
And, we were just pretty good at, being quite cash efficient at developing. Like 4 out of the 6 founding members are engineers, and we were able to go about it like pretty well. And, in general, basically like we really are into the mindset of a lean startup mentality. So as soon as this was shippable, we would ship it and then, like sell a bunch and then reinvest that cash into the next version of it, right? So it's multiple releases that basically allows people to use your product faster, but then at the same time allows you to learn what to build next. So, and it's pretty hard for people to do that because like you can find so many things that are wrong with a product, especially when you know how it's built, From the consumer angle, you're like, like you don't see the flaws, but when you build it, you know how it is, you see like, oh my God, like I can't believe we're shipping this, But the consumer doesn't even care, right? So knowing, like releasing fast and shipping fast I think allowed us to, stay cash efficient and learn what the users want as fast as possible.
Yeah. It's a model that's not been demonstrated before, and I guess the only people that had really successfully been on that path would be Peloton. How easy was it to convince people to invest a relatively large amount of money in an idea that's not proven with a product that's never been out there to compare it against?
That definitely has taken a lot of hustle, and we're lucky that, Peloton was still like a couple years ahead of us to, pave the way for a lot of, what the market can show in terms of traction. But at the end of the day, like, you had previous companies that did like very successful things, even in home fitness. Like, you look at, Beachbody, who, was really like an incumbent in this industry, and they were doing $1 billion in sales already. Like, it's not like the market didn't exist before. And from there, all we had to do is really to convince the investors of what we would, what we had accomplished until then, which really, convinced them to be like, look, you guys did this already. You ship to all these athletes. Your product is proven. We probably believe that you can build the next phase of it.
Yeah. Do you think this will compete with the traditional health clubs, or do you see health clubs trying to get into this market? What's your view on that?
I do think that home fitness is growing at a very interesting pace. Like, I think it used to be 15% home fitness, 85, gyms a few years ago, and now it's more like 30-70. So I do believe that it's interesting to think of fitness maybe as an extension of your day-to-day living, instead of thinking of it as like a facility that you just go to. So the same way that, like, theaters moved from, big screens with your car all the way inside your home, I think this is like something that's going to happen more and more too, where like, and you see it in like home designs already. Like, the new home designs now, they replaced, the theater room. There used to be like a huge room, like the basement with all this. Now it's an exercise room, So as we're seeing more and more of that, I think it's going to become really ubiquitous. In 10 years from now, I think we're going to look back and be like, most people have a way to work out from home. They may still hit the gym, but everyone will still have that option, like, around themselves. There's going to be a way to work out the same way there's going to be a way to cook, same thing.
Do you see any close parallels between what you're doing and a boutique gym? Because this kind of looks like, even this studio here looks like a small, in fact, I thought it was when we came by a boutique. And
right.
We had a big demonstration out in the shopping center a few weeks ago. What's your thoughts on that market? Do they work together, complement each other, or separate?
So I think that the boutique fitness, world in general has done phenomenal things. Like, I think they really nailed down the community aspect of it, and, how to take a workout and make it like it's so compelling that you basically want to go to have fun, right? And I don't think previously the big box gyms like, 24-Hour Fitness or, Gold's Gym were a lot more, personal. And, you would put your headphones on, you do your thing. I think the boutique, fitness, industry in general has just nailed down the content. In our specific vertical, which is martial arts, we think it's actually limited because of their model. Their business model is, you have 50 bags. We want the 50 bags to be full as much as we can the whole day. And it leads to creating a one-size-fits-all workout where there's not going to be a continuous curriculum, right? So for a skill-based workout, it starts to be either like, like maybe accessible, but then I'm hitting the ceiling really fast. Or if you don't position it well, then it's maybe too like not enough accessible if I'm really, really on the beginner side, for example. I need just more instruction. So we feel that, it's not the best model for specifically like martial arts. And martial arts, we think that, we can do a lot more with content, because we can serve you the piece of content that you need exactly when you need it. Like you're a beginner and you're like, you need specifically to work on your, your footwork right now. Boom, we know that. And we can design specifically a piece of content for that. You want to do more advanced stuff? We have a class here ready for you. So I think that business models are a little bit, it's not going to be necessarily for the people who want to develop that skill. Still can be a very engaging workout though.
Yeah. You talked about Beachbody and infomercials. A few years ago I was studying that world, and it seemed as though the whole infomercial world, with the consumer changes by the fact that they don't watch TV like they used to, seems to sort of be massively suffering, particularly the fitness infomercial side. And when even to get a product onto television, it was a massive investment. You're talking of $1 million just in creating these little commercials and testing them and then airing them. There was a huge amount of cost up front just in marketing. And then eventually it would be sold in a store through a retailer that would take a margin on it. What your model then is that very much geared to be this direct to consumer and removing a lot of those costs that were involved in the past?
I think so. You mean like in terms of distribution or more like content creation? Yeah,
in terms of distribution, yeah.
I mean, if you think about retail, right? Like that can be a very big expense in itself if you start having like retail spots everywhere in America. I think just the way people buy has just changed in general. Even like with the people that come here to our retail, store, a lot of them come here, learn about the product, try the product, then go home and buy from internet, right? And that's like a behavior that we're starting to see more and more. So I don't know if it's a choice more than, you just want to do whatever the consumer needs to get them there.
Because these are I guess the difference in, like a product years ago was that you would go to a Walmart or a Dick's or whatever and buy it through a reseller. Yeah. Where, this is your own branded store and there's not really a middleman in it. Do you see this being in a retailer, or is the goal that you control your own distribution totally?
We want to control as much of it as we can, really. Because, like nowadays the expectations for brands is so high that people really want to, know what you're about. And it's so easy to mess up a product demo. If you have like, this one person at Walmart who's like, where's FightCamp? I think I see it in the alley, like number 26. Like there's so much more onboarding that needs to be done. And, it's a product that is so experiential. Like you need to try it to understand, and we see that all the time. Whenever the people are like, okay, like I get it, it's interesting. Now they put the trackers on, they press play, and they throw their first punch, like no wires. You're just like, put these small trackers on, you double tap them, and then you're throwing punches, and you're doing other things with your hand, nothing happens. But you throw a punch, and then the whole user interface change. Like it's pretty, like it feels pretty futuristic, There's always this moment, it's like, wow, okay, this is really cool. So we want to provide that experience like when you get in the store as fast as possible. Yeah.
Do you see having more of these? Like I know Peloton, I don't know exactly how many they've got, but they seem to have quite a few of these all over. Is that your plan, is to occupy more retail experience locations as well?
Yeah, we think that's like probably going to be what's going to happen. Our store here is really like our flagship. We want to make this a successful one. And then, depending on, our results here, then we'll probably maybe tweak a few things if necessary, retry, or, if it's successful right away, we'll be like, all right, like we already have like a few people waiting for us to pull the trigger on it.
Right.
So, as this, as we get more data about the store, like we already saw like a lot of people coming in and really like people that have never heard about us before. So there's like quite a bit of awareness to be done with FightCamp. So if this leads to the volumes of sales that we want, we're probably going to start opening across the country.
There's I come across lots of amazing products, and it's good to have a great product, but as there's a lot more to it. It's getting it out there and actually being able to sell it. You certainly seem to have done a good job at being able to get this product out there. Talk a little bit about how you've used social media and how important that's been in your sort of sales success.
So social media is interesting because, to be completely honest with you, we haven't focused on it. We have had good organic reach without really focusing on it, but we've used extensively the Facebook ads platform and the Instagram ads platform because they're just really, really effective. They're video based, so you're getting a pretty good sense of what's happening really quickly, which is different if you go, for example, just on Google with search terms. And we've used it in that way, but we literally didn't, this was a talking point recently in the team when we were we should probably focus on social media to try to, milk more of it. So, compared to all the gym owners that I know, we've barely put any, the effort that, we would, need to put on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that in terms of social media, I noticed that you've done some work with influencers.
Yeah.
Was that a kind of a, was that a plan? Was that successful? Is that something you think is important nowadays to get those types of people on board? Like Paige Hathaway, for example,
yeah.
and Mike Rashid. And
so, with influencer, our finding is that it really depends on the influencer. There's very good ones and, ones that, we're okay, this is probably not a right fit. And the choice really matters. And the engagement, the actual genuine interest in the product, somehow people know. Cheating your way about it is usually not successful. There's something that is off about the way the person talks about it, or, and it kind of, transpires throughout the video. It actually needs to be genuine, you can't really just hack your way to it. That's at least our learning. So whenever an influencer approaches us to work with us, we kind of let them, it's like dating, we let them invest in the relation. Yeah, okay, well, what do you think? Well, we can do this deal and, I can charge you that much. Okay, too quick. Tell me more about the product. Would you, do you like it? Would you like to try it? Then we send them a product first. We see how much they like it. And we didn't even talk about, any deal yet. So we do a lot of curation throughout the process before we actually go and have an influencer represent us.
Yeah. Do you think there's a link between the sort of target person that's likely to buy that, whether it's a mum or whatever, and that influencer, as opposed to having kind of a really cute, hot, guy or girl that just looks great? Do you think nowadays like you say, you've got to have a lot more authenticity and have the real person that looks like you say, as they're using it?
I think so, to be honest. I think that, and I think it's only gonna go more on the authenticity side. It's not becoming less and less authentic. I think the days where you could just hack the system are gone,
So putting some famous model on there just because she's been paid is probably not as much as a real mum that lives around the corner.
Right, and especially boxing, right? Because if she doesn't even know how to punch, it looks silly. Nobody's gonna believe it, So no, we want the person to genuinely be interested in boxing. Then we want the person to be genuinely interested in FightCamp, the product itself, and we want them to try it and genuinely like it before we even allow them to go public with it, So yeah, I do think that there's not gonna be that much hacks around having a genuinely good product.
Yeah. With the boutique fitness market, for example, that seems to be heavily female dominant. How are you finding this type of product or home fitness? Is that still more female led, or are you seeing more of a balance because it's boxing?
Yeah, that's interesting. When we started, it was 70% female, 30% male. Now it's actually 55-45. So, and we see a lot of couples buying together.
Right.
We see those discussions all the time. It's well, you wanted to buy this, that I will do with you, and I think there's just enough appeal on both sides to actually be a potential, couples workout. And it's full body again, right? Like, so just from a pure, fitness thesis, like it is a full body workout. You will work out everything from, like your shoulder all the way to your calves, So I think a lot of people just genuinely resonate to the idea that boxing can be a great workout, and it's not only cardio based. So I think that we get probably more of the male community involved in that way, where they're like, yeah, like this is gonna get me sore. Like I need, like I don't need to just do the workout to feel good. Like I want results, Yeah.
So I guess in the past, you come up with a product, you put it out, and you look at sales to see whether it's good or bad. I guess nowadays, like you're able to look at, whether it's male or female, because I guess you've got profiles, and I suppose you can kind of look at the type of workouts that people are downloading or not downloading, or the instructors that are working. Do you think in terms of like future development and success of this type of business, you're able to kind of be a lot more on the ball with, right, we want to put more of this type of thing on, or we want to put more stuff for guys or whatever?
Yeah.
Does that technology component allow you to be, I get a little bit more precise in terms of where you take the business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like with every month, we're probably more data driven than the previous month, because obviously you just get more data as you put stuff out there. There's still always going to be you're only going to know about things that you know what I mean? Like there's always this one thing that you never even thought you could release, and you're never going to get any data about that unless maybe users think of it, and then tell you, but you still have to actually listen to them. But even then, I do think that the real leaps of innovation, usually don't happen only with listening to people and, like having them tell you what they want. Because they're only thinking incremental, like as a consumer, we don't think of, the next 10 levels of innovation. We just want, can this be better? Like, I would like this to just be better. This is like this famous quote from Henry Ford. If you would ask people what they want, they would have told me, faster horses. So I think you still have to take a few gigantic risks to be like, let's try this, and like your goal, I think, as an entrepreneur is to minimize that risk to get the answer as fast as possible. But I think you do have to try very ambitious things that no data indicates that this is the thing to do, but inside you feel this is it. And I think you have to take the risk to verify. Yeah.
What's your predictions on the next 5 to 10 years in this category that you're in, and where are you positioning your business for that next period as well?
So I think a couple of things. I think that, friction to hit the gym is going to be really less. Like people will have a way to work out, very seamlessly. I think that there's going to be someone in the household who's going to, invest in fitness. It doesn't necessarily have to be you, but it may be your partner, it may be your children, but there's going to be things to work out with around you in the house. Whether you use it or not, this is the next thing. But definitely the availability of it is going to be increasing. Then I think the second thing is it's going to feel less and less like a workout. I think the more you're seeing how, like esports and fitness and sports are merging kind of together. Like there's this other company that, I really like called Zwift. And it's basically competitive cycling from home. And they're kind of like borderline taking over cycling. It's crazy. And they literally created this avatar of yourself. And you're like, doing the Tour de France from home. And they're regulated. They even have an anti-doping agency. Like this is getting really big. They want to be at the Olympics in 2028. And this is like basically a video game from home for competitive cyclists. So I think this thing that is just like, hey, you just have to put in the time. And, I don't think we have a problem with that because we're part of that, like early adopters. Like we love fitness. We wouldn't even take it out of it. Like it's ingrained into our lifestyle. I think to get 100 million people in America to work out regularly, I think you have to take the workout out of the workout. I think it has to be almost like, leisure, to a certain extent. So I think more and more of that is going to come into play, where it's not even going to feel like I'm just doing this so I can get it over with. It's just something that's going to be like, you know, I know it's healthy, but I like it. Like, you know, it's like almost like a favorite sport. Nobody has ever pushed someone so hard to play their favorite sport. Like, you were doing it for, you know, literally you wanted to do it. So I think that's where it's heading.
Right. So before I ask the last question, if people are interested in getting the product, learning about the product, or even your business, where can people find out more? Yeah,
so you can find us at www.joinfightcamp.com. We're here in Fashion Island, right in front of the Lululemon and right next to Tesla. Feel free to come down, try out the product, let us know what you think. And we're actually building our headquarters right now in Costa Mesa as well. So that's going to be, you know, right at the border of Newport Beach in Costa Mesa on 17th Street. So we're, you know, you can find us pretty easily at one of these three places.
Yeah, and you also have an app, is that right, that people
Correct.
can
Right, yeah, you can go on the App Store. You can simply write FightCamp in one word, and you know, it's the top result. You can listen to a lot of videos without, you know, having any membership. So you can feel free to scroll around and try a few videos and see what the experiences are like on the app.
Right. And what countries are you shipping this to at the moment?
So we're concentrated on the United States at the moment. You can still find the app internationally, but we don't ship products internationally yet. Soon enough, hopefully.
Right. And are you shipping the sensors internationally yet as well?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Watch this space for more details.
Yeah.
So final question, Khalil. Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you've believed is impossible and made it possible, or other people have told you. What would be a memorable example of you escaping your own personal limits?
That's a good one. I don't know. I would say like just starting the business in general was a big one. You know, like a lot of people, I think at least a lot of people are trying to make it more difficult than it actually is in terms of just getting started. Like, you know, like there's no way it's almost like having a baby. Like you're never going to be really ready. You know, I think at some point you just have to like commit to the journey and being like, you know, okay, I don't know everything. I don't know, you know, what's an LLC or a C Corp, or I don't know if, you know, I should have a team of 10 to start or a team of 2, but, you know, I have my friend here who wants to do it with me. I just think at some point you just have to get going, you know, and like put yourself on autopilot. Just say, okay, I'm just doing this. And I think the body will figure out what to do. You know, your stress level is gonna rise at the right moment, and you know, you'll probably learn super fast what you need to do. They have this analogy where, like, you know, building a startup is jumping out of the airplane and trying to figure out the parachute while you're actually, you know, in midair. Yeah. So I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, want to do it, but are, you know, maybe waiting until they have the right amount of money or this or that. But, you know, if at some point you feel like you have the right level of motivation, I think you should just, you know, walk out the door and do it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think you've got a great concept, and you know, it's great to see someone that's really at the forefront of this shift in, you know, particularly in the fitness sector and also the consumer sector. And so I'm going to be sort of keeping my eye on you guys, and I wish you a lot of success in the future. And thank you very much for joining us.
And thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.